What up guys, SuperMetal983 here bringing us another album review, and this time we've got some really fucking riff heavy post-hardcore for you to check out. So if you like it heavy, then this is definitely the post-hardcore album that you need to check out in 2022. But yeah, I'm going to be reviewing the new album from the band Wyattxhim entitled Darkbloom. This is out now via SharpTone Records. Now, if you're not too familiar with Wyattxhim, to be honest, I'd be pretty surprised if you're clicking on this review and you haven't heard of them. But they are a five-piece post-hardcore band hailing from the US, and I've been a fan of these guys for quite a few years now. I've listened to every single album that they've brought out. I own a couple of their albums on CD, but I first heard the band, quite a few years back, on their, I believe this is their second album, entitled Understanding What We've Grown to Be, which is this one right here. Yeah, really solid post-hardcore. It's got the heaviness, it's got the catchy moments, it's got it all. So if you want some great post-hardcore, definitely check this album out. And I also have their album Tracing Back Roots, which I got those both at the same time, I believe, in a CEX, so, you know, got them pretty cheap. And then I have their second latest album, which is called Cold Like War. Yeah, this one right here, which we'll get to in a second. But my favourite album of their discography is probably To Plant a Seed, which is their debut album, if my memory serves. And yeah, that, in my opinion, is an absolutely incredible piece of post-hardcore. It's like one of the best and one of my go-to albums when I'm in the mood for post-hardcore. So yeah, if you haven't checked out that album, I recommend you do so if you're into the genre. So it's been 5 years since the band released an album, because Cold Like War came out in 2017, and it was the last album to feature drummer Eric, who was a long-time drummer of the band, but also it was the last album to feature Kyle, the second vocalist for the band, who passed away in 2018. And yeah, he was an absolutely incredible vocalist, and from what I saw across Facebook posts and stuff like that, he was an amazing guy. I wish I could have met him myself, but oh no, I did meet him actually when I saw them with Miss May in O2 Academy. So if anyone was at that show, they'll know how much of an amazing vocalist he was. I completely forgot that I'd seen him there, but anyway, moving on. But yeah, absolutely incredible vocalist. It's sad that he's no longer with us, but I was hoping that the band would continue, and they did. It so in his legacy. Like they did a US tour, if my memory serves, playing To Plant a Seed in full for the very last time it was being advertised. So I'm guessing they're not going to be playing tracks from that era anymore and moving forward with their sound, which I appreciate and stuff like that. So I was eagerly awaiting to see what would come of Wyattxhim now that they were going to be continuing as a five-piece, getting a new drummer in the band, and also what would they do to the soundscape of the band in the future. And they released a couple of singles. They released the title track Darkbloom, and they released like alternative version with Brand of Sacrifice, which is, yeah, absolutely disgusting. So yeah, a collaboration we never thought we would ever get in our lifetime, and it delivered. And a couple of other songs which I listen to quite frequently in the lead up to the album's release, and I think it was about a week and a half before the album was due to release, I kind of like stopped listening to the singles because I had them on repeat so much. And then when the album dropped, I was listening to a couple of albums on that release day, and I completely forgot about that album. And then I was like, okay, I'll get to Wyattxhim one day, a few days later. And ever since then, because that was only a couple of days ago, I have had this album on repeat, and we are going to dissect it in this review. So yeah, it's 10 tracks and runs around 37 minutes in length, and I can go without question to say this is, without a shadow of a doubt, Wyattxhim's heaviest album to date. Like this, like you think like the Darkbloom collaboration with Brand of Sacrifice was like the heaviest thing they were going to do. Yeah, that is just a teaser to this album, in my personal opinion, because this album is easily the most grittiest and most heaviest sounding post-hardcore album that I've heard in quite some time. Like, I personally like post-hardcore to have that sort of dynamic, to have the heavy pummeling factor of that sort of metalcore sound, but also have the catchy, you know, memorable hooks and stuff that'll make you want to sing along, but also when the breakdown comes, you want to throw some fists. That's why I love post-hardcore, and what I look for in post-hardcore, for the likes of In Heart's Wake, for example, come to mind, Like Moths to Flames, amongst others. That's the sort of sound I look for. And We Came as Romans are definitely more catchier in their older stuff. I mean, the only album that I really don't vibe with in their discography was the self-titled album, because it was just there, in my personal opinion. It just didn't have a lot of factors going for it, in my personal taste. But this material, they've definitely had some heavier elements thrown in there, but nothing has come to as heavy as Darkbloom, in my opinion, especially from the first track, Darkbloom. Like, we've already heard it, but it felt like when I gave it that kind of like break, that listening to it in fresh from beginning to end, it felt like I was listening to an entire new record, and I was just like, holy shit, when the fuck was We Came as Romans get this heavy? And I listened to, I think it was To Plant a Seed, and there was some like heavier moments. I was like, no, that's nowhere near as heavy as Darkbloom. Like, honestly, I was so surprised by the heaviness and the overall might of it coming forward in the mix. Like, it sounded pummeling. I was like, okay, this is what I want to hear. And the lyrics and stuff kind of along that sort of track, just you do reminiscent a lot when you're out and about singing along to it. It's such a memorable sounding album when it comes to overall sound and production, but also the songwriting aspect of it. Especially another song that I would say is Plague, the second track, which I will say they did release quite a few singles from this album leading up to the release, which kind of dampened it a little bit for me, because I was expecting a little more like mystery to it, because I do like that, and I think that's what kind of contributed to not vibing as much with Memphis Mayfire's new album, because it was like, I think it was either one or even two songs that were fresh to the ears when the album drops, because every song had been released. So it was like, I get it, because in the modern times you have to keep your hype going, but it kind of like fell a little bit for me. That's just my personal opinion. But this album, like listening to it in full, made it give it a whole, it made us feel like I was listening to it for the first time. And there was like some moments that I remember, like on Black Hole, like Caleb from Beartooth, his guest spot on there, I recognised that instantly. I was like, oh, that's Black Hole. I recognise that one. And then Daggers has become one of their most well-known songs nowadays. Like that build-up in the breakdown with the Nowhere to Run, Nowhere to Hide bit, it just gets you so pumped up when listening to it, and then it just slaps when that breakdown actually comes in. It's heavy as fuck, man. It just smacks you right in the face. I absolutely love it. Another song that I really want to talk about is One More Day, which is an absolute beautiful song. There's a lot of lyrics that are reminiscent of and talking in memory of Kyle. You can tell it's written all over this record. We knew it was coming. And it just tugs at the heartstrings so much, like especially that song. And also the last track, Promise You. Both those songs are very emotion-driven and definitely capture the memory of Kyle. Like, it's so emotional to listen to. Like, I got pretty emotional listening to the album. Like, I was ready for the heaviness. Oh, sorry, I wasn't ready for the heaviness, but I was ready for the emotion-filled song. But then when I heard them, I wasn't ready for how much it was going to tug at my heartstrings, and I did honestly get a bit of a tear in my eye listening to those songs, especially the song Promise You. It's just really emotional, so I'd recommend you check out that song. Double Speak, is it Double Speak? Yeah, Double Speak, the 7th track, is up there with Darkbloom as the heaviest tracks on this album. Like, that breakdown near the end of the song, holy shit, man, that really caught me off guard. Like, it is definitely up there in the heavy factors of 2022, if you ask me. And people will be looking at us right now on YouTube being like, We Came as Romans are heavy. Have you heard this band? Have you heard this breakdown? And I'm like, yeah. Just listen to the breakdown on Darkbloom and Doublespeak. You'll know exactly what I mean, and you'll be like, oh, okay, he's right. But yeah, absolutely incredible songs, and Holding the Embers and The Anchor are absolutely incredible songs, and the other song that I didn't mention there that was Golden, absolutely incredible. The overall production is very modern sound, and but it is very loud compared to modern production. Like, it really feels huge when you listen to it, because there's a lot of productions that it sounds too refined and too like, it doesn't have much room to breathe, and it just feels too computerized, whereas I like it to have a bit of balls behind it and a lot of intensity, and you feel like for example, the pick actions coming through, like cutting through the mix just right, or the drums sounding not so much programmed or condensed. I like it to sound loud and massive sounding, and this album definitely encapsulates that overall massive feel on there. So the guitar tone definitely is crushing and just overall just powerful, and the somber, more emotion-filled song, it just sounds beautiful, elegant, and as I said, it really tugs at the heartstrings. And I also will say, forgetting his name off the top of my head, David, the vocalist on We Came as Romans, his range is absolutely incredible on this album. There's so much going for, like, his clean vocals. I believe the guitarists or the bassists contribute vocals on here as well. But yeah, his vocal range is getting so good. Like, obviously, I'd imagine, like, he's used to, like, the double vocal feature. Like, okay, I've got to do this bit, you, Kyle, you do this bit, you know, that sort of stuff. But the three backing vocalists definitely help it a little bit here. But his vocals, you can tell that he's pushed his range just that little bit more. He's gotten lower. He's got He's got a lot of pronunciation in his voice. You can hear every single lyric that he's saying. And I feel like, as well, post-hardcore, it is essential for you to understand and feel what the singer is saying, whether it's the most lowest of lows. Like, you can't be doing, like, the filth-ridden gargle fest of the likes of Lorne Shaw, for example. You can DD in that, you can add spurts of it, but you've got to understand what they're saying for it to translate live. And I've seen footage of them playing live and people singing the lyrics back. It sounds absolutely incredible, and this album is definitely fucking incredible. The more I listen to it, the more I fall in love. I know I say that about every single album that I've reviewed, but honestly, there's been some absolutely incredible releases, and this one is definitely my favourite post-hardcore album that I've heard this year. It's absolutely incredible from beginning to end. I would definitely say my favourite tracks on this album are definitely Daggers featuring 0936, a rap little section in there, which really adds to the overall song, but it really falls into that modern sort of post-hardcore where they're getting more rap artists in there, or modern rap artists in there, just to add some new flavour to the post-hardcore sounds, and it really fucking works if you ask me. So yeah, Daggers is definitely up there. One More Day, and also the title track Darkbloom. I'll leave probably another track or two in the description of where you can check them out, and also I've put Darkbloom in the Super Metal Riffs for Days playlist, which you can link down below. Make sure you give it a follow. I'm always updating it with new tracks and stuff like that. One other thing I will say, the drum work is absolutely fantastic on this album. I know I didn't mention it throughout this review, but absolutely incredible, and the production sounds absolutely incredible on the drums. But yeah, make sure to subscribe. For an overall score though, I'm going to give this album a solid 9 out of 10. Absolutely incredible. It's the heaviest, as I said, the heaviest We Came as Romans album so far. And the songs just speak for themselves. They're really catchy, very heavy. I really fucking love this album. 9 out of 10. Make sure you check it out if you haven't already. But yeah, make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you until the next video. And remember, stay metal, and I'll see you later.